Sports on your dial right now. They see stories every play, every time with Rob Browne breaking it all down. Yeah. SEC, Sidelines Sports on my mind. Rob Browne calling game time, highlight shine, executive mind. Brenden Martin keeping Rob in line. Like, subscribe, share it, tell everyone. Sideline Sports, y'all come back real soon. Same place, same time, same tune. From the booth to the field, every Saturday feeling you home. We ride that rivalry, make that living room sound like the zone. From Tiger Growls to Rebel Crowds, every hometown heartbeat loud. Rob and Brand turning up that talk like you right there inside the crowd. SEC, Sideline Sports on my mind. Rob Browne calling game time, highlight shine, executive mind. Brenden Martin keeping Rob in line. Like, subscribe, share it, tell everyone. Sideline Sports, y'all come back real soon. Same place, same time, same tune. Hey!
Like my favorite day when Tony Barnhart comes on the program. It's like
He is.
I turn on the big lights on the day. Woo! Mr. Barnhart here. It's like pull over if you're listening. If you're listening right now, you gotta pull over because the man, the myth, the legend.
Mr. College Football, and I never get tired of saying that. He's always, I mean, you talk about prepared, proper planning and preparation.
Guy wakes
for
up
sport
prepared.
performance. He does. He really does. And our prayers are with you and your wife on the knee recovery. And Tony, thanks for sharing your time and coming on here with us this morning on this Friday. It is Friday, April 24th, 2026. Where is it, buddy? I'm looking, but I want to say, take your phone.
We don't know. We're just all in your world right now, brother.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. Take a picture with your phone, and Brendan's right. Just subscribe, share, and like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the social media platforms. A lot of people watch on their way home from work later in the day, whatever. It is 9 a.m. Central. We're live. 9 a.m. Eastern. We are live Monday through Friday. Tony Barnhart, Frank Duffy, Doug Dean, Brad Bellamy, Landers Ford will check in. Proud sponsors of the Touchdown Club in Memphis. So let's be aware today, man. The Mid-South is under, severe storm watch. It's going to storm.
It must be springtime.
Oh, yeah, it is springtime. And Tony, I'm over here at the farm right now. I woke up last night, 12:30. Here come the big tractors and the spray rigs coming by from the shop next door, the Cherry Farm's old shop when they were in the farming. And they're farming 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, used to be, sun up to sundown. They don't ever stop. But just like college football, they never stop. Just seeing you puts me in a good mood because you always have a positive message. College football, kind of what's happening. And by the way, we got little fighting words. Big 10 first-round picks. SEC 7, and close behind ACC with 6.
I fully expected there to be an announcement in my mailbox that the Southeastern Conference is going to give up on football. They're not going to play anymore. The Big 10 had a really good for them, 10 draft picks in the first round. That's good. SEC had 15 last year and 7 this year, but it's probably just time for the SEC to just become a basketball league.
Tony,
Don't start.
You knew it was coming. I mean, you absolutely knew it was coming. The SEC, it's on one of the websites. The SEC is king no more.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
well, I just got this memo, Tony. SEC Commissioner Sankey is calling. It's the priest is at the bedside. The respirator's on, and they're calling the relatives to come to the room. It's over. But how much fun is this going to be, though, man?
It's going to be now, but you got to give Big 10 credit. 3 straight national championships and a great performance on draft day, which is what the SEC has been hanging its hat on. So only fair. And so I just say, let's go play.
Yeah. And I love this time of year. In about a month, you'll be going to the beach. You'll be reading Athlon's and Lindy's magazines. and talking college football, smack talk or whatever. Your thoughts right now? I've got Georgia again. 11 of the last 12 SEC titles have been Georgia or Bama. LSU broke the party in 2019. I'm still taking Georgia. Nothing but love and respect for the Mannings and Arch Manning, but give me Gunnar Stockton any day. Anyone from Rayburn County, I've canoed up there. That's a tough kid.
Well, a tough kid that drives a Ford F-100 pickup truck, and it was interesting watching him. And there was a commercial, and people were talking about the kid that went to Miami and his Lamborghini and all that. I said, how can you not like Gunnar Stockton? I mean, he's a good old North Georgia boy. I spent a lot of time up in North Georgia. And so it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And oh, by the way, here's what people are already forgetting. This season, we go to 9 conference games in the SEC. I'm telling you guys, it's a really big deal. And I think the big thing coming up is, will this be the first year that a 9-3 team makes the college football playoff?
Yeah. Hey, Indian Pass Pirate, I'm already at the beach. This guy lives down in L.A. As they say, Tony, in the state of Alabama, L.A., Lower Alabama.
Lower Alabama. That's right.
Frank, jump in here with Tony.
Yeah.
Mr. College
Well, if you're at Indian Pass, go get those nice charbroiled oysters over at Indian Pass. I love that area. I love going down to Cape San Blas all the time. And, Tony, I am in the North Georgia mountains right now, and you're exactly right. They love Gunnar Stockton. He is the anti-Carson Beck, being in that truck riding around. By the way, Rob, after that wonderful introduction from Mr. Tony Barnhart, which is worth every word of it, I feel like George Goebel the night that he was on Johnny Carson with Dean Martin and Bob Hope. He goes, ever feel like life is a tuxedo and you're a pair of brown shoes? Well, it's hard to follow Mr. College Football. Yeah, we love you, Tony. And look, Tony, I got to ask you, I know you were supposed to have officially retired last year. I got a feeling, just like my buddy Tom Amos, the horse trainer, he's going to have a lot of manure on his feet since he just retired 2 weeks ago. I think you're going to be all around college football, and I hope we get you on many, many Fridays this year.
Well, I announced back at last May that I was going to go through the season, and I've been working on a book for a little bit more than a year now. Mr. College Football, 50 Years of SEC Memories. Turned the manuscript in on Tuesday. Done.
Outstanding. That's an accomplishment.
Miss Scarlett, I've birthed that baby. I am so happy to have that thing. But I was very pleased with the way. And if we're lucky, it comes out at the end of the year. But I'm not worried about it. But I am going to still do speeches, still do radio appearances, and to promote the book. And I'm going to be a little more aggressive in promoting this book than the last book. So I'll be busy. I'll be around. I'm not going away.
And Tony, with 4 stage plays under my belt and 2 screenplays, the best 2 words in the English language are the end.
No doubt. No doubt. So,
yeah. Tony, that book, your book will be on display on our set when it comes out. I'm buying a copy. I'll be honored to do it. Doug Dean in Birmingham, in the Brick City studio. How are you?
I'm great, and good morning, guys. And Duff, the audacity pimping LSU logos on the show. We're supposed to be all SEC all the time. Mr. Barnhart, Mr. College Football, we are not worthy.
That's right.
So glad to have you on. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
So let me throw some provocateur Friday, a couple of those questions at you, and you react in as much detail as you wish. By the way, first of all, I know you're a great writer, and AI and great editors help, but don't you still wake up in cold sweats some nights saying, what if I had a grammatical error somewhere in this book and it gets to print? Is that stressful at all?
Sure it is, because you want it done. You want to do it right, and you want to do it right the first time. You can always fix it, but you want to do it right. And that's the old newspaper guy coming out. You back then you made a mistake, then you didn't get to fix it until the next day.
Yeah. And now the internet is forever.
That was pressure.
My first provocateur Friday, Rob. My take, and it's a lot because, as you said, 9-game brutal conference schedule without any help from an expansion from 12 to a bigger number of teams in the playoff. But I've said I will be surprised, which I don't mean as a slight to Texas or Georgia. I guess the two odds on the most talked about favorites as we sit, and rightly so. They earned it. You could argue Sark, has got to win something big before he really earned it. But I've said I don't think we have an SEC team with fewer than 3 conference losses. Your reaction to that?
I certainly think it's possible for all the reasons that we just listed here. I've just got a feeling that some team's going to sneak up and do 10-2 and win a conference championship or something like that. But is it possible? It absolutely is. And the other thing I told somebody the other day, people, particularly SEC fans, are going to have to rethink what a good season looks like. Okay.
Give me 8 wins, baby.
None of this, we're 11-1. Okay, good. No, I'm just telling you, 2 wins. You'll have a number of teams in with 2 wins, and I'm holding out. I still think we're going to have a team with 3 losses. It's going to happen.
And then, they need to. If they don't factor, if I'm Sankey and they don't factor strength of schedule in heavily, when selection time comes around, and it cries out to heaven for vengeance.
Well, Commissioner Sankey has certainly been pushing and about the strength of schedule. This goes all the way back to Destin of last year when they started making this push for the committee to look strongly at the strength of schedule and the coaches are adamant about it. Particularly, I'm talking to Kirby about it. You got to look at who we play and who they play. So we'll see.
Second
Tony.
Provocative question. Sorry, Rob. I'll get out of the way in a second. We were all fascinated, rightly so, with the system and formula that Cignetti appeared to use in Indiana to put a bunch of older guys together. It certainly didn't hurt to get what we now know as the number 1 overall QB pick, period, in the draft, Mendoza. And it sort of cast doubt on what we all got so familiar with most years, either Georgia or Alabama and an occasional Ohio State was going to win the Natty. And so my question is, do you think this year's eventual champion will once again resemble what Cignetti did and not necessarily be a blue blood name? Or you think we'll regress to the mean and it will tend to be a blue blood that, whether it's Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, that really has the riches to bring a roster in? Your thoughts?
I just think NIL, transfer portal, you name it, opens the door for a lot of people who had that door closed in front of them. So now last season was exhibit A of what the future looks like, which means there's a lot of teams that now I will say this, you got to go out and get you a good quarterback. Okay. And if you don't have a good quarterback, you got to hit the portal or something and get one. But to answer your question, I think all the changes we had have opened the door to a lot more people.
Tony, yesterday we had new University of Memphis head football coach Charles Huff on. That was a great segment with him. And they're talking about Power 4, Group of 6, and all comparison. And it's not his quote. We've all heard it. Comparison is the thief of joy. I noticed, and my wife has evolved for life, but she said, God, when we started going out 11 years ago, she'd go to an Auburn game. She goes, y'all got mad if you won 49-10 because the other team got the ball. And I think I've got a lot of Auburn and LSU and Alabama and Georgia friends, and we're all kind of make some sense. You know what I'm saying? Like the coaches, I guess we grew up here in Tom Osborne. Well, Coach, Huskers win 70-3 over Iowa State. Well, we're concerned about the field goal we gave up late. Yeah. But talk about that. It's real, isn't it?
It's totally real, and particularly it's real in our part of the world. Because coaches are such perfectionists. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to blocking and tackling and getting the right people in the right places. And it's going to be fun to watch. Yeah, I think it's good to have other people in the game, in the mix. Yeah. Indiana was a great story. Guys, we've talked about this a million times. This game is about stories. Tell me a good story. And Indiana is a great story. And we're going to get more and more stories because more and more people are going to be involved.
So compelling, wasn't it, Tony? I mean, a basketball school, heck, one of all of our favorite sports movies, Hoosiers, and damn it, they don't rise up and look unbelievably competent and strong in all phases.
I'll tell you a story. I was during the playoffs. Alabama's getting ready to play Indiana, and one of my Alabama friends said, "Yep, we're good." I said, "Dude, you don't get it. Have you watched this team play?"
Yeah.
It's like the Mike Tranghese, the old Big East commissioner, was in charge of the NCAA basketball tournament selection committee. Know him very well. Know him, good friend. He was the head of the selection committee, and he would get fed up with all the argument about metrics and this and this, and he would stop the meeting and go, "Did anybody in this room see this team play?" Okay?
Yeah.
Let's start there. Same thing. I tell my Alabama friend, this ain't your dad's Indiana. Watch this team play. They're really good. They're really good. They got a great quarterback. They are well coached, incredibly well coached. And so it's like people wouldn't accept Indiana because they were Indiana. And I got asked in one of my speeches, they said, "Who is this year's Indiana?" I said, "I think it's going to be Indiana."
Yeah.
So,
Dude got it by third quarter, didn't he, Tony?
well, people are going to have to understand the world is changing. And as Coach Bobby Bowden used to say, "Son, the train's leaving the station. You got to decide if you're going to be on it or not. But it's leaving without you." Okay.
Yeah, and it's so true because we all start, and I'm going to go back to Frank after this, but beginning of the season, you got 136 D1 teams. You know, trees and grass start out in the same place. Trees don't hang around with the grass very long. That's kind of college football. Frank Duffy in that beautiful kitchen in North Georgia.
Up here in Big Canoe, man, it's God's country. Ain't no doubt about that. I love living
Darth
in North
Vader
Georgia.
Nation. Tell us.
Well, I was just going to say that. Tony, as you say, we're all looking for good stories. And what do you need in every good story? A villain. Well, let me tell you something. Lane Kiffin and the Bayou Bengals, this has been a marriage. I don't know how it didn't get together earlier because we're going to be playing that villain card all year long. In fact, I'm promoting us to come out in all blacks with our mustard yellow helmets to go against Clemson. The reason I bring that up is talking about the difference between NIL and cobbling together with money a roster. I think the poster child for speaking against that has been Dabo Swinney for all this time, right? I mean, literally, he was the one that put his boots in the mud long ago and said, this is not the way to go. Well, you're going to have the two poster children for the two different ways to build a team playing again to kick off the season. And just like the game last year in prime time was the must-watch game that most people were focusing on, I think you're going to see it again this year. And I am fascinated to see what Lane Kiffin comes out with. Where our last practice is tomorrow. The offense is way behind the defense, which makes me think that they're trying to put in the new system. So can you speak to the two dichotomies that Rob brought up of how to build a team? And do you think that this will be a good litmus test going into the new season on where we are in that two different factions of how to build a team?
Yeah, and it will be, and it's going to be an ongoing discussion. Okay, there won't be any definitive answer. Let's see how this season plays out. Let's see how next season plays out. But there's more than one way to win. I learned that a long time ago. It might have been Bill Parcells who said there's more than one way to win. You got to figure out what your way is and do that. But that's to me, it makes the game much more compelling, and it makes and frankly, our buddy Lane Kiffin is going to be must-see TV every week they're out there.
Yeah, Tony,
certainly third week in September in Oxford. They didn't set that one up in the beginning, not knowing what was going to happen.
There you go.
Sorry, guys. A subplot to that, guys, is a question. I think a story that's very interesting is how much does a head coach single-handedly matter? Obviously, the easy answer is a lot. We get that. I'm referring to Ole Miss. It's they're to hear their fan base, and rightly so with Trinidad coming back, and they're still loaded. I think it's like just plug and play. And I think there will be moments, and that's why I add them to my three SEC lost teams. Nothing against Ole Miss. It's remarkable how they've changed their baseline of expectations, and Lane gets a lot of credit for that, but not the only credit. They spend a heck of a lot of money, from what I understand. I think Auburn's NIL raw spend was 32 million-ish, and that's not enough. It's not enough. That makes you middle of the pack. But do you think with Kiffin, will there be evidence with Kiffin gone, that whether it's in-game decisions, risk and reward on play calling, that it's noticeable that Kiffin is not at Ole Miss, that they have a bumpy ride, or will that take longer to occur if it ever does?
I think it will take longer to occur, but here's the thing: is there are the intangibles. The intangibles of a guy like Lane Kiffin, clearly one of our best play callers of our generation, and it's 3rd and 4. And do you throw a pass in the flat, or do you go over the top of the defense? It's the risk factor that you're willing to take on, and sometimes you got to do things that are unconventional. And so that, I think that's what Lane Kiffin gives you. He will reach into his bag of tricks, or he'll go for it he'll go up top on 3rd and 1 when a run would have got you the first down. It's those elements I think that'll be important.
Tony, I want to say hi to my grandson, Alexander Meadows, watching with my daughter, Hallie. Hello, Alexander, because he'll start going, Bob truck. He loves to get in my truck.
How old is Alexander?
He'll be 2 May 5th.
All right. I've got one that's 5. So
that's awesome.
Tony gets you that zoo membership. We go to the zoo. They go to the zoo 3 or 4 times a week. And he was walking 10 days after his birthday. He comes into the zoo, sans the stroller. Tony, what I love about you is a great writer. And Doug, my goodness, Frank, I love the dichotomy. I took word wealth in 10th grade, brother Stephen Schonhoff. I'm going to speak to the crepuscular nature of college football fans. We're up early and we're active most late at night. In between, there's a lot of games. I love some of these comments. Respect to Mr. Barnhart, Hoosier Dave. I can't imagine who he's a fan of, for being able to see through the fog of the past. So many great stories. Talk just about your vision for the 26 college football season, because the questions from my counsels in this Supreme Court hearing from Doug and Frank have been amazing, and your answers are even more amazing.
Well, to me, one of the most compelling storylines that we're going to have is what's going to happen with the playoff. We're at 12. The commissioner of the SEC wants to go to 16 because he doesn't want to go to 24. And now all of a sudden, people are starting to line up to do 24 to consider that. And now Tony Batiti, the Big Ten commissioner, is starting to get a little. That's just a story that's going to be all year. Destin is going to be fascinating. What the subjects to be discussed, because right now, I mean, for a while there, it was clear that the SEC had the upper hand. Well, now maybe they don't. So I'm anxious to see what the coaches say when we get to Destin.
I have a humble request for that program. Can they put Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss's head coach Golding on the same morning?
Why not?
Yeah, for the TV entertainment value.
Yeah, and the SEC Media Days is going to be in Tampa. That's going to be an interesting thing.
Yeah.
So, this is going to be a fascinating season. It really is.
It is. Tony, I don't know if it's AI or not. Saw something on my Facebook feed last night. A great white shark washed up, got caught in some fishing line on the beach, supposedly at Navarre Beach down there in Destin. So you can expect anything now. What will be the first question? Boy, I didn't know him, but I just heard the story. Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat, rest in peace. The first question. And I just, guys, when you see Tony at media days, coat and tie, he, out of respect to the great ones like Furman Bisher, who wrote into his mid-90s, and that'll wake you up in the morning. What do you think the first question will be? And whatever, I apologize.
Well, the first question is, as it always is going to be some variation of what's going on at the University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa. It just is. Here's a guy who Kalen DeBoer, who just got a $2 million raise, and half his fan base wants him gone.
Yeah,
or maybe more than half the fan base wants him gone, and it's just absolutely best. Rob, I got to tell you this quick story. You mentioned Furman Bisher.
Yes.
the book that I'm doing now, it goes through all 16 conference schools and writes about my favorite memory about being in that place.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Cool.
my favorite memory of being at Kentucky was the day that Georgia played in Kentucky at Keeneland, the racing at Keeneland. Furman Bisher calls me up and takes me to Keeneland racetrack.
Awesome.
And teaches me how to handicap a horse race.
Get you some supers.
That's my favorite story from there. He was magnificent.
I can imagine. By the way, that's the old school writers that had the big three: boxing, horse racing, baseball. That was that big three in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s that they cut their teeth on. And that's where the stories were really just wonderfully written, Tony. You're exactly right. I could see that right now. Yeah. I'm going to the Derby next week.
All right.
Tony, another one here from an ECU alum watching. I think about Bayboro, North Carolina. Of course, it's over in Greenville, North Carolina, Pimlico Sound. I love these fans of these different schools. That are all of you. We love you. We appreciate you watching. And Doug, I love the provocative question. My question is, I got to ask you about Ole Miss, Tony. Pete Golding, Yancey Porter, Rebel Yell Hotline was on here with us earlier this week. He said they had a golf tournament for the Grove Collective. Pete Golding spent like 15, 20 minutes with each group thanking them for coming out there. Tony, that's what we love about coaches, the connection, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And you understand where the franchise is, and you thank the people that help you, and you thank them and you help them as much as you possibly can. And that's one way the world has changed. And, guys, it's not really complicated. If you play LSU every year and LSU has a $40 million roster, guess what? You're not going to get 25 and think you're going to short arm it. Okay. It's not going to happen. And so it is going to be, it's going to be a fascinating, and the game itself, guys, like we've said a million times with you, when I've been with you, is the game itself. Once the games kick off, it is still the most compelling game out there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Tony, and how shall I put this? Over the last, 3 or 4 decades, I think the record will show that when experts, and that's a guy with a briefcase from out of town, right?
Yes.
Experts who have predicted the doom of the dominance of the SEC, or the end of college football and fan disengagement, have almost batting 1,000 have been wrong. But something feels a little different when you put the perfect storm of cultural shifts, distractions, the cost of going to game. And I was awakened to, if you just take Auburn, and I'm sure this plays out very similarly at all the big SEC programs, it's not the tickets to get to a college football Saturday. It's the dadgum hotels. If you're coming from out of state, they require all 3 or 4 days booking. You're into $1,500, $2,000, depending on if you have Duffy's bank account or not, and where you can stay. And so my
Bengal
question
One
is,
comes in handy. My RV does come in handy.
Sure, and except for Gale Force winds when it gets shuttled. So my question is, do you think that if you below, maybe let's just say the top 30 NIL funded football programs, the ones past that, or maybe it's 40, whatever the number is, do you think when they look at it and say we have no chance of maybe we'll make the playoff, because we saw how that happened with the automatic bids, or getting rid of that, but from conference champions, but if we have no chance, much less any chance to make a deep run, why are we spending any money? Do you think some will just get out of the business of college football? What's the end game with this?
Absolutely. My buddy Wes Durbin and I had a radio show in Atlanta for several years, and we constantly would come back to the same thing. That school who's struggling, that school needs to decide if they want to be in the football business.
Poop or get off the pot.
Well, it's just you're either in the football business or you're not.
Yep.
And you can't rely on somebody else to legislate it down so you can afford to play. Either your university thinks it's really important and you got to come up with the money, or you don't. And it is tough. And
Tony, this is the biggest poker game in the world right now, is college football. Right. If you want to play, you better come to the table with a long stack, and you better be willing to put them into the middle of the table.
Mm-hmm. No, that is absolutely right. And nobody's going to feel sorry for you if you're in the SEC and you got a good alumni base and well funded. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. And so we will see. I think there's going to be a correction at some point, but we will see. We will see.
There's a data point maybe worth putting in the archives here, guys, and that's June 9th. Lionel Messi's Argentina team is playing Iceland in what they call a friendly. Don't you love that? We don't have any friendly games in the SEC, an exhibition game in Jordan-Hare Stadium, Tony, and there are already 70,000 tickets purchased. They may pack the stadium. So it's not impossible to talk about the next 5 to 15 years or whatever the time period is that we see colleges discover that, wow, with the international popularity of that sport, is that a suitable replacement, male and female, that could engage fans and help you if you're going to get out of football?
Well, I agree. The next 4 to 5 years are going to be fascinating because unless we get some congressional action that's going to put an antitrust waiver on this, I don't see how you do it. I've been told that it's either you got to get an antitrust waiver or you have to have collective bargaining. You got to have one or both of those, because people are not going to cut back on what they spend because, gee, maybe we shouldn't spend this much money on football. No.
Yeah.
Now, when you start getting beat, all right, people are going to say, just tell me what you need. Tell me what you need, and we're going to get it.
Yeah, Tony, the thing is, you're right. The adults, are the ones the kids are going to do what they're allowed to get away with.
Sure.
I want to ask you about these new coaches. John Summerall at Florida. Can't wait to get him on the show and talk to him. Ryan Silverfield, Arkansas, Alex Golish at Auburn. They came from the American Conference. And they're all really about engaging with the fans. Tony, what I love about reading you growing up, is you would go to practice. You knew those coaches. You were on the road a lot. You remember Charles Hollis with Birmingham News?
Very well.
I met him when I was working as a freshman with David Housel and Buddy Davidson. And one time he was eating a brown paper sack of McDonald's, and he said, "Let me tell you what, you want to be a sports writer?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, This is going to be your dinner about every night on the road. He goes, but I love it. I'll never forget that. What are some of your coolest stories about meeting deadline and then the afterwards party with guys like Jack Hairston, Furman Bishop, Buddy Martin, people like that?
It was just incredible. For me, I'm a relatively young guy. I came to Atlanta in 1984. Yeah. I grew up about an hour from Atlanta, but just me getting to know Furman Bishop, Jesse Outler, Edwin Pope, on and on and on. And I said, can I ever be like them? That was my goal. My goal was to work for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and sit next to Furman Bishop in the press box. That was my goal. And in 1984, Georgia played Clemson in Athens. And when I sat down in my seat at Sanford Stadium, Furman Bishop was sitting right next to me. And I was the Georgia beat guy, so he's trying to get information from me. I'm trying to help him, and then we get to the end of the game. Furman, Kevin Butler lines up for a 60-yard field goal to beat Clemson, and he makes it by at least 10 yards. But before Kevin Butler kicked, Bishop looked at me and said, "Can he do it?" I said, "I've seen him do it 100 times in practice."
Yeah.
He said, and then it was over. He said, "Tony, you were right."
How cool is that?
I'm there. Okay,
yeah, you're right.
Everything I ever dreamed about professionally happened in that one day.
Yeah.
So,
Kevin Butler would have to be in the top 2 or 3, if not the top field goal kicker in the modern era, SEC.
Yeah.
If you had one field goal to bet, if you bet the house, you want to put it on Kevin Butler because he absolutely. And here's interesting, guys. We're having our charity golf tournament in 2 weeks, and at Atlanta National Golf Club, and Kevin Butler will be there. We support the Dooley Family Sport Honduras Outreach International, and Kevin Butler will be there. That we would maintain that relationship for whatever. 40
Tony,
years.
yeah, Tony, what I remember, I was at the FIMU dorm in Auburn, picking up my girlfriend to go to the Auburn game, and I'm listening to Larry Munson on the radio. And I goes, Lauren, what do you got? He goes, well, Larry, Kevin Butler's got a long one today. He goes, now it's tied up. They're going to ask him to kick it from 100,000 miles.
That's right.
From the surface of the sun.
I'll tell you.
Lauren,
Hey.
what do you got?
All right, impersonation segment brought to you by I forgot who.
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Here's a fun question, but it raises the Irish temper of no small number of business owners in the loveliest village in Lee County. But I was thinking about this: Auburn versus Baylor opening game. And I realized, I think on paper, most people will like Auburn in that game. I bet Vegas will make them maybe a 5-point favorite. But we know how dangerous and weird opening games can be. Who? Here's the provocative question that John Cohen is not going to like me asking, but we got to ask the tough questions. Who has more pressure in that game? Alex Golesh, his opening game, or John Cohen? Because the mayor of Auburn, Ron Anders, he was polite, but he warned the Auburn AD that he was going to go public about his disdain for that decision to sell the game to the city of Atlanta. I guess is how that money flows, for money. And we understand that this is a new game. You got to find new sources of revenue. But I think there's more pressure on John Cohen in that opening game to win it because if they're lost, they'll say, well, if they had been in Jordan-Hare, Coach Golesh would have gotten off to a better start.
Yeah, it's all on the finance, guys. Finances. Typically, there's been a discussion for a lot of years of taking the Georgia-Florida game in Jacksonville and moving it to campus, home and home. Okay, but and Kirby Smart was one of the people who wanted to do it because it gives him another home game for recruiting and all that. But when they sat down and looked at the numbers, those schools make an extra $5 million on that one game by playing it on a neutral site. And so, when you got to raise $40 million to fund your roster, you're going to, they're having, if you look around, guys, take a minute today, go on the internet and look at and do a search on concerts in SEC football stadiums. Okay. And you got this incredible facility that sits there and you use it 7 or 8 days a year. And so you're going to get more and more of that. They're having a concert in Athens later on. And so,
absolutely, we should have done that a long time ago, right?
As you might imagine, the mayor of Athens, Georgia, would really like for the Georgia-Florida game to be on campus.
Yeah.
So we've heard that before. So,
well, Tony, one thing before we go back to Frank. I go to Atlanta a lot. Our oldest daughter lives in Sandy Springs, and Audrey was there last week. There are 20-something thousand Auburn alums just right there in Atlanta.
Yes.
So, and I know that I know Ron Anders. I was in school with him. He was a cheerleader, Anders Bookstore, and I agree that I'd like for it to be in Auburn, but you go to Atlanta, you got Georgia and Georgia Tech, you got Auburn. They're everywhere. So when it's a home game for Auburn, it'd be 95% Auburn fans. So, Frank, real estate very well, Duffy Realty. Tony's right. No longer do you have NRAs, non-revenue producing assets. These stadiums are going to start churning and just throwing money out. You got to make money everywhere you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the cathedrals, and I mean, again, you see what we're doing. Many of them are over 100,000 now. And look, you even saw Vanderbilt with an increase and a stadium project. Now, it took 10 years, but you saw them with it. By the way, the most pressure going to be in that game is Dave Aranda. To be honest with you, it's not on the Auburn side. It's Baylor because after what was he 5-7? It's fish or cut bait time for them. Tony, I think like Rob was talking about earlier, there is no lack of interest in college football, and there is no lack of going to games because it's the experience of it. It's the collective. It's our church on Saturday down in the South. Can you speak to what you've seen in those 50 years and how much this is ingrained? 16 of us, we have our own little flavors, but what do you speak to how much it is in the psyche of a state or half of a state when it comes to Saturdays in the South?
In my first book, called Southern Fried Football, I interviewed a lot of people. Frank Broyles was one of them. And one of the things that Coach Broyles said, he said, here's the thing about football in the South. Our fans do not go to the game to spectate. They go to the game to participate.
It's true.
And it is ingrained in the culture, and they want to be there. Got wonderful stories about folks that couldn't go to the game. They would listen on Saturday on the radio. They'd be working out in the field and listening to John Ward. Okay.
Oh,
it's football time in Tennessee.
Yes.
And that was a great part of growing up. It's just been a great, that's why I'm saying, is the game changing? Yes. Is it going to continue to change? Of course it is. But the fundamentals don't change.
The soul of it.
Fundamentals of you and your friend going to a game or sitting back on the deck or watching, have a TV watching party and things that those things don't change. It's kind of how we get there. And we've said this a number of times, guys, when I've been with you, it is too ingrained in our culture to go away. It's so good. Even we as adults try to screw it up. We really do. But the game is too good and the game is too strong.
And it's been there since 1865 innately.
I dearly miss Frank Broyles doing color with Keith Jackson.
Wasn't that great?
And
Here's the safety man, Keith.
He was one of us. 83 iron ball, that one in the fourth quarter. That tornado came through there. Not a damn person left the building. And Broyles, when Bo busted that 70-yarder to which whoever scored last was going to win before the rain arrived. And Broyles said, Keith, Bo Jackson is the best running back in America that America has never heard of.
I think I saw a house just go by.
Tony, that was the Doug's right. I was at that game, and the tornado sirens were going off. Ladies, a tornado warning for Jefferson County. Nobody left, and it was raining so hard. Auburn had a defensive back. It was number 31, Vic Beasley from Adairsville, Georgia. He was a wide receiver, but he couldn't catch the ball. The Auburn doctors worked on his eyes. He had a depth perception problem. Before
hell, Jordan Hare was burning down, and we didn't leave with y'all.
I was at that game. And Tony, we're riding back on the bus from the stadium to the Sheraton downtown Birmingham. I'm not kidding you. This old fella was on there in his World War II veteran's hat. I promise you. I was with my girlfriend Kathy from LaGrange at the time. He looks over at me and he goes, someone said something about the tornado warning. He goes, well, I landed at Omaha Beach. I wasn't about to leave. As long as Auburn whipped Alabama, I can go to my grave being a happy man. And we beat Alabama, and I'm alive, and I'm going home. Yeah, and I love it. I mean, that meant so. Doug, God, I still remember it like it was. Yes, it was raining so hard you could not see the other side of the field, but.
I want to say, Frank Broyles, if you didn't hear of Bo Jackson in 82, where were you?
I handled some German 88s. I can handle a little wind.
The real signal here is poor Kathy from LaGrange just had it outed that she dated Rob Browne. Poor girl.
Yeah, she's a good girl. But the point is, Tony, I know you got to go. We kept you long, and Brad Bellamy's going to be on here in a minute from Landers Ford to talk with us. But, Tony, tell people the message. I always like you to do this. You're a positive person. You know, people have a choice every day which direction they want to go. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in negativity. Tell them about, again, your book is gone to print, and take it from there into the end zone.
The book is Mr. College Football, 50 Years of SEC Memories. But it's a little bit different. The book it's not a listing of great teams and great players and all that stuff. It is about my personal memories having covered this conference for 50 years.
Wow.
It's funny. When I was looking last May, I told my wife, I said, I have been doing this for 50 years. I'd kind of lost track of and I said, I'm going to take one more lap around the conference. But this is about, I'll give you an example. You remember a defensive end at Tennessee by the name of Will Overstreet.
Yeah, Jackson, Mississippi Prep. Yeah.
Great player. I was driving from Atlanta to Knoxville on September 11th, 2001. I was shooting some film. College game day was on Saturday, And when they send me up there to shoot some film, I'm halfway there to Knoxville when the first plane hit the tower. I called the desk and said, "What's going on? We think it's an accident. We don't know." 17 minutes later, the second plane hit. I called the assignment desk at Bristol, Connecticut, ESPN. Says, "I'm on my way to Knoxville. We'll pick up the story from there." Yeah. They decided to do the interviews with the players to take their minds off of what was going on. Will Overstreet came in with his practice uniform and was holding a cell phone in his left hand, and he looked very concerned. I said, "Will, what's wrong?" He said, "My sister is working at the Pentagon today, and I can't find her."
Oh,
okay.
Lord.
And I said, "Will, first of all, this interview is not important. If you have to leave, get up and leave. No questions asked." He was a trooper. We went through the whole thing. They finally found his sister at the end of the day. But him sitting there, holding that cell phone, trying to get in touch with it, that is my memory.
Wow.
And that has always stayed with me. It's those kind of stories and those kind of memories that really make up the book. Also, I got to have lunch with Barry Switzer, something I've never done. Flew to Oklahoma.
God.
There's a place called the Midway Deli off of Eufaula Street, and that's his favorite place. Every Friday during home game weekends, he would go there and sit there and hold court and sign anything that anybody wanted signed. And this place called the Midway Deli has been there for 40-something years. I got to do Midnight Yell at Texas A&M. That was been on my bucket list forever. 30,000 people at midnight at Kyle Field. So it's those kind of memories that are in this book.
Tony,
and I'm happy they didn't convert you.
Tony, I can guarantee you're going to sell at least 3 copies of your book as the 3 of us are buying them.
And look, and Tony,
your publisher.
And that's another thing too is we may have these fierce rivalries, but man, I can't. I've pulled my foot out of my mouth so many times. I have so many Alabama friends, Georgia friends, Tennessee. I mean, there's just nothing like it. And you know what? As competitive as the SEC is, if you don't think that this league isn't going to double down and triple down to come back fighting, you don't know the history of the Scotch Irish. Go read James Webb's book, Born Fighting. That's who we are. That's what we are. Right. And we're coming back.
Rob, brothers can fight like hell, but don't let anybody else come in our yard because they're gonna have all they want. By the way, in our first national championship that I watched LSU win in the Superdome in 2003 against Oklahoma, the first chance when we knew we finally had it, when Saban was on the sideline, we salted it away with that interception. The chants were not LSU; they were SEC.
Yeah,
that was the first chance.
I know. Oh, we are. We're very tight. Tony, thank you so much, Mr. College Football. Prayers for your wife's recovery on that knee, and she's got the best person to help her out in her great husband, Tony. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Take care.
You bet.
Nice talking to you, Tony.
Man, if that doesn't get you in a good mood talking to that guy, and Doug doesn't tell us this. He is the lead counsel for a lot of big lawyers. No, really. I love the provocateur.
My mom is watching the show.
Hey, look! Hey, he looks like the DA. He looks like a cop that would interrogate you in that dark room. I was ready to give up the secret of formula for Coke.
Oh, Mr. Kiffin, if you would just answer yes or no.
That's right. Hey, we have ways of making you talk. And by the way, I didn't know we were going to have true confidentials. I didn't know old girlfriends were going to be coming out of the woodwork and starting to ask questions. Holy mackerel!
But that bus ride back to the Sheraton downtown. Wow, some of the conversations.
She was in the friend zone. She doesn't remember it as a date.
Yeah, PTSD. But I'm gonna tell you, I can remember that like it was. Yeah, it was in Birmingham Sunday and Monday to go see Doug and Maury Gaston at the Birmingham War Eagle Club. What a great group of people. Ralph Jordan Jr. and Eve were there.
That was
speaking.
Cool.
That is such a great group of Doug. Those guys. Man, let me tell you something. They're like 20-year-olds. They're as passionate as 20-year-olds. And I love being around people that are positive. I'm with Pat Dye. I never allow my quarterbacks to have a negative thought between the ears. Only positive, Doug.
Rob, quickly, you had stepped away, I'm pretty sure, but I got to talk to Ralph Jordan Jr. He was a fraternity brother of yours, right?
Yeah, not at the same time, but yes.
Well,
6 minutes,
obviously,
yeah.
I know you're a little younger, putting it mildly.
I
But
mean,
I talked to him. He told the story of Coach Bryant, the great Paul Bear Bryant, had a place on Lake Martin. So
Yep.
did Shug.
Yep.
And I'm glad. It makes me even prouder to have a little piece of dirt on that lake, which I'll get y'all back to this fall. But he's Bear Bryant walks out the door, and he said, "Hey, little Shug." He called Ralph Jr. Little Shug.
Yep.
And he had a drink in his hand. I'm just telling the truth. And
Yeah.
so was he. And I guess filterless Camel, whatever he
Chesterfield.
Chesterfields. And he walked up. What are you watching on TV there, little Shug? He said, "I'm watching Bonanza." And Coach Bryant said, "Well, who's your favorite character?" And he said, I really like Little Joe. And Bear said, "My favorite character is Hoss."
Of course.
And he said Coach Bryant sat down there and watched a little bit of Bonanza with him. How cool is that?
He told me that. And the other cool one was when his dad called him to come home. He got over to the house and he says, "I never got a call like that." And she goes, "Go in there in the den. Your father wants to meet a couple of visitors." And he goes in there. John Wayne is in there. And David Jansen in 1967, wow. They were filming over at Fort Benning, the movie The Green Berets.
Correct.
But Doug, what a welcome. I swear.
Come back when you're in town.
I love Birmingham. That city is
and just don't call us old geezers. They get mad about that.
No, they ain't. Hey, I told my dad when he turned 90, I said, "If you quit now going into the office every day, you better find a hobby to make it to 100. He got the 97. I'll take that right now in Vegas. Look, great stuff today. I hope Brad is okay. I hadn't seen him. But, by the way, I went to Landers last Saturday. They had Jalen Wells, one of the Memphis Grizzlies players. And I said, "Where'd you play your ball?" Like Sedona out in the Bay Area, California. And man, I'm going to tell you what, that was one of the nicest guys and making all that money, and give. He signed every autograph, pictures, people. You just got to connect with people, Doug. You know that being in your background. You are a people person. Frank, my God, you didn't sell all those homes in Rhonda and your employees at Duffy Realty because you're jerks. You're some of the most genuinely nice people. And people watching this show, put your comments and questions in. Executive producer Brenden Martin, get them up there. But, man, the growth of this show, it's about people and the stories that we tell. But Tony Barnhart, we're not going to let him retire. I mean,
when you hear his voice, you just think there must be a football game tomorrow.
Exactly.
He's got such a distinct voice, which I love. But you know what? I should have told Tony, I don't want to make this an Alabama-Georgia thing, but after the draft yesterday, Ty Simpson and Stetson Bennett will be battling for backup to Matt Stafford. That's a heavy Georgia-Alabama flavor in that QB room.
God,
I think Ty's going to be the heir apparent. I really do. I think that's why they took him that high, and
he's got the skills.
See something. Yeah, I mean, and look,
he's got detractors, but you don't know a QB in the NFL.
You know what? The SEC, ACC, Big Ten battle right now. The SEC, Big Ten's won 3 championships in a row. You know the time to kill a lion, they say, is when he's just eaten. He's full. He's happy. What's the most feared creature in the ocean? Never hungry, never satisfied is a great white shark. You're either a fat and happy lion or you're a great white shark. If you don't think the SEC, I always tell these people when I talk to them in Boston and New York and California that you want to understand football in the South, go watch the movie Braveheart. Remember all those folks on the other side of the field with blue face paint, Scotch Irish, and that's us. Now, the people that are content and just, born on third base and think they hit a triple, that was the English. And I'm more of an Angus, pulling the arrow out of his dad's chest. I'll wake you up in the morning.
Rob, I will see your great white shark and raise you an orca whale.
Well, that's true.
Okay. Yes,
and swimming personally, you don't want a sea snake coming up on you either. Hey, by the way, I've ordered my purple and gold paint for when I have to roll into Oxford on October 21st. I'm going to have that face paint on. I just going to have to find me a nice purple and gold kilt because let me tell you, the Horde's coming. I'm trying to get some steel plating for Bengal 1. I think I'm going to have to I'm clearly going to be taking some shrapnel, but the war analogies are going to be all over this year, boys.
You're doing this all wrong, and I want for your personal security, what you actually need to do is get you an Ole Miss hat and shirt and put magnets on Bengal 1 to look like a Rebel RV.
I can give you a little advanced intel. I was there when the bus pulled up in 2000 because my friend Barry was Tommy Tuberville's attorney. So I was right there when they got off the bus. The warm greeting he received from the people at Ole Miss, I shall never forget.
That will be
that
like
greeting.
Child's play compared to the shit that we're gonna go
I
through.
agree.
Oh
And
my God.
Brad, get on here and sell some Fords. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to get to Landers Ford and buy several trucks.
And I don't know. I hope Brad's okay. He might have a customer in there. But hey, folks, Barry is.
Oh, hey,
I've been here, Rob. I emailed you and said I was in the queue.
I don't see emails during.
In the
I'm not
queue.
supposed to look at my phone. I apologize, Brad. My apologies. Tell us what's going on at Landers. And by the way, Jalen Wells, what a cool crowd. People coming up. What a giving, nice guy. It just the more you look at the people that play these sports, the more you love them. Brad, welcome aboard. Sorry about that.
Thanks, guys. No, I was a few minutes late this morning, Rob.
Okay.
But
I just don't see
was
emails or texts. I can't see them.
patiently waiting in the queue, and if I do anything in text, do not disturb is on. It's just a whole mess. So, yeah. Good morning, guys. Glad to be on here for a brief couple of seconds with y'all. But closing out the month here in April, and just did some repricing on some units. I got F-150 XLT, normally in the 60s, that I got in the high 40s right now. Just trying to clear out some of the old 25s that we got, and nice white chrome package truck for somebody to take advantage of. So come on out and see us. We've repriced a lot of stuff. We really need to close out strong to end the month of April. And it was fun to have Jalen out last week in the Mustang Club. And man, we got some great lease deals on Bronco and Bronco Sport, Mustang Mach-E. I got 125 Mach-E left, and as the gas prices have increased, we've seen a lot more people interested now in getting an electric vehicle. I got one more F-150 Lightning as well. So come on out and check us out. Also this weekend, Rob, I'll have tomorrow, Saturday afternoon, I'll be out. Agape is having their big Agape Fest at the Agri Center. So about 5,000 folks will be out there supporting hope and just the future of Memphis. So
tomorrow, what time?
1 and 5 tomorrow.
Okay. All right. I'll come by there. I'm going to tell you something, Brad. I want to give you a compliment. I've seen a lot of car dealerships over the years. I've never seen anybody that invests so much in the community, the Mid-South, like y'all are. And you've just added another school that you are supporting. And remember, you don't have to do it. Don Kitchens doesn't have to do it. Kent Ritchie doesn't have to do it. But your staff is all in. And it's just, I love it.
Yeah, if you don't do it for them, if you don't do it, what are you doing it for? So
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Now, who's the new school y'all are involved with?
Lakeland. So my family lives up in Lakeland. Baseball team was state champs last year. Juniors only, no seniors on the team because it's a brand new high school. So they won the state as juniors. They moved up a division this year, and playoffs are about to start. But man, they're champions, and Landers likes to support champions. So
very cool.
We got the sign. We got the sign out there at Lakeland Baseball, and the major sponsor of them, and excited to partner with Coach Godwin and support the Lakeland baseball team. Great group of young men, and been exciting to see that become our best athletic program currently at Lakeland. The cross team is getting better too. So, and my son plays soccer out there. So they're now added to the portfolio of Landers signage.
To use a horse analogy, they're moving up in class.
That's right.
One last question. What'd you think about DeBoer? We got about a minute. DeBoer's contract extension.
It makes no sense. I don't get it. I don't feel like anybody is chasing after DeBoer. I don't understand why Alabama would take his buyout from $2 million to $10 million. I don't feel like the fan base. The only reason I think they did it is because they don't want to tell recruits that we've reinvested. We're committed to DeBoer. We're not going anywhere with him. We just signed him to a new contract. That's the only reason you do it.
Yeah.
Because if they don't make the playoff this year, he's not going to be there next year.
Yeah, you're right.
Hang on a second. It smells like Coach Ogeron without the national championship.
Yeah, it's great. Look, we've run out of time, guys. Awesome show today. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Get out and everywhere you can. Agape event 1 to 5 tomorrow with Landers Ford, Mount Moriah, and I-240 as well. Brenden, great show. Thank y'all. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Have fun next week.
Yeah, man.